The first few weeks with the baby dragon were pure magic. Elara named her Pyra for the gentle fire that seemed to glow within her eggshell. In the quiet chamber, Pyra was a perfect miracle. She would chase dust motes dancing in the sunbeams, her tiny wings buzzing like a hummingbird's. She would curl up in Elara's lap, her warm scales a comfort against the cool stone of the castle. The villagers would peek in, their faces filled with wonder and renewed hope. The terrifying storms seemed less frequent, and for a moment it felt like the pact was healing itself. But Pyra was a dragon, not a kitten, and dragons grow. The first sign of trouble was small. One afternoon, Pyra let out a happy sneeze. A tiny puff of orange smoke and a single, perfect spark shot out, landing on a nearby tapestry. Before Elara could move, a small black hole had singed the ancient cloth. The guard watching the door shifted his sheets nervously. A week later, the problem grew. A fisherman came to Elara holding up a large ruined net. "Your Highness," he said, bowing low, his voice trembling slightly. "The little dragon, she was watching the boats from the cliff. She got excited and she coughed." The net was filled with large melted holes. Elara paid for the damage, of course. She tried to explain that Pyra was young and still learning. As Pyra grew, so did the accidents. Now the size of a large dog, she loved to play. She chased butterflies through the village square with joyous abandon, her heavy feet accidentally knocking over market stalls. Her happy shrieks, once charming chirps, could now rattle windows. One day, her tail, thick and powerful, knocked over a rainwater barrel, sending a flood of water through the baker's open door and ruining the day's bread. The villagers' hope began to sour into fear. Their faces were no longer filled with wonder, but with worry. They loved their queen, but they were scared of her pet. An old village elder named Kyle finally spoke to her directly. "Elara," he said, his voice kind but firm, "we trust you, but we cannot live in fear. The old dragon was a guardian. This one is a danger. It breaks things. It breathes fire. It is not a savior. It is a menace." Elara's heart ached. She looked at Pyra, who was trying to catch a sunbeam on the floor, completely innocent. She saw not a menace, but a child. A very powerful, very fiery child without a mother to teach her. Far away, on the barren hills, a scout for the invaders watched the village through a spyglass. He saw the chaos. He saw the villagers flinch when the small dragon came near. He rode back to his chieftain, a brutal man named Vorlog. "Their dragon is a baby. It is untamed. The people fear it. They are divided." Vorlog smiled, a cruel twisting of his scarred lips. "Good," he grunted. "A true dragon is a fortress. A baby dragon is a prize. They are weak. We will not just raid them. We will take their little monster and raise it as our own weapon. Prepare the men." A few days later, the warning bell rang across the valley. The invaders were coming. Panic erupted. The village guards formed a line, their faces pale but determined. Other villagers grabbed their children and ran for the great hall. Elara rushed to Pyra's chamber. The dragon could feel the fear in the air and was screeching nervously, small flames puffing from her nostrils. Elara knew in her heart that Pyra was not ready to fight. Ordering her to attack would only cause more chaos and likely harm her own people. An idea sparked in her mind. Pyra loved to chase things, especially shiny things. "Guard," Elara yelled. "Give me your shield, the most polished one you have." The guard handed over his gleaming steel shield. As the invaders smashed through the outer gate, Elara ran out to meet them, not with the sword, but with the shield held high. Pyra, seeing Elara run, bounded after her. "Pyra, here, girl!" Elara shouted, angling the shield to catch the sun. A bright light flashed across the courtyard, right into Pyra's eyes. The dragon blinked, intrigued. She let out a curious chirp and pounced towards the light. Elara ran, weaving through the village paths, flashing the shield. Pyra hollowed, thinking it was the most wonderful game she had ever played. The invaders stopped, confused. They saw the princess running, but she wasn't attacking, and the dragon was chasing her, leaping and playing. Elara led the chase directly towards the invaders. She angled the shield, flashing the light right in front of Vorlog's face. Pyra, annoyed at this man standing in the way of her shiny toy, let out a frustrated roar and unleashed a powerful plume of fire. The ground sizzled and dirt exploded. The invaders yelled in alarm. Elara kept moving, dancing and weaving, making the light from the shield jump from one warrior to another. She set a supply cart on fire. She singed the banner in a warrior's hand. She wasn't attacking them. She was just trying to catch the light. To the invaders, it was pure terror. The fire was everywhere, coming from every direction, with no pattern or reason. This was not a trained beast. It was chaos. It was wild, unpredictable magic. They broke ranks and ran, screaming in fear. Vorlog, his face black with soot and fury, had no choice but to sound the retreat. As the last of the invaders disappeared over the hill, Elara finally stood still, breathing heavily. Pyra, tired from the game, trotted over and nudged her hand, letting out a soft, happy puff of smoke. The villagers slowly came out of their hiding places. They had seen everything. They saw their queen, armed not with a sword, but with wisdom. They saw a dragon that was not a monster, but a powerful youngster guided by a loving hand. Kael, the elder, walked up to Elara, his eyes filled with awe. "Forgive me, my queen," he said, bowing his head. "We saw only the untamed fire. You saw the dragon." Elara looked down at Pyra, stroking her warm scales. The road ahead was still long. Pyra still had much to learn, but for the first time, Elara did not feel alone. She knew now that hope was not just a dragon. It was the bond they shared, and together they would be strong enough to protect their home.